This was a conservative Democrat in Pennsylvania? She's one of 10 Democrats in the primary for Pennsylvania's 5th district, which is largely based in Delaware County, but also includes parts of Philadelphia and Montgomery County. We asked her about that, President Trump's strikes on Syria, and the fact that she lives outside of the district and more. 7 quick facts about Lee's agenda. Her plan to create jobs, raise the minimum wage, focus on job. Okay, very conservative. All right. Invest in vocational training. Okay. On a $15 minimum wage. Supports it, but I think it has to be somewhat incremental. Backs debt-free college. Legalize recreational pot immediately. National job guarantee. Supports it, but I want to make sure that we have a way to pay for it without blowing up the deficit. Super PACs. They should absolutely not be involved in this race. Wasn't she working for one 2 years later? Budget deficit. Stop subsidizing our fossil fuel companies, our oil companies. Does she say conservative in here at all? No. Does she say progressive? Oh, no. What did she say here? Wait. We're at 27:55. She says,
Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. And I'm being called a grifter when all along, all these years, I've said on TV, I've said to the press, I'm a conservative Democrat.
They don't care. I'm one of those creepy people that go around turning off lights. I'm what they call a tree-hugging progressive. But they did not care about anything other than revenue generation. I'm sure there's some good people there. I don't mean to have a blanket statement, but just from the people that I was exposed to, talking about her time as a wealth manager at Morgan Stanley. Like, this is all like this feels retarded. This is what I mean. I'd rather just like go fucking goon all day or go back to school. Like, this is like this. Why? Like, who is this? Like, she should be excoriated. This is ridiculous. This is like some actual Chinese, like fucking some Chi-Com. My mom was more right than I realized. I missed her, I guess, on it. This is some Chinese communist shit. This is some fucking media infiltration. Fucking, she was rigging elections. She was rigging elections back at fucking Stanford. Or no. What was it? Princeton? Lee attended Princeton University and was elected class president at age 17. She became the first woman at Princeton to hold the position of class president for all 4 years. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. What's going on? That was their training ground. Bro, what the fuck?
This is not a...
I've been a conservative. Listen how strongly she says it. Like, I can understand if she's saying like, oh, I've been like a little bit more conservative, maybe. But like...
caring. And any criticism after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. And I'm being called a grifter when all along, all these years, I've said on TV, I've said to the press, I'm a conservative Democrat. This is not a switch for me. This is just me. This is who I've always been.
Always.
And also, my donors are pissed.
This is not a real person. This is a fucking Chinese plant. This is a foreign adversary who's been injected into our political system, who is on some high-level infiltration. I don't believe it.
Is $2.5 billion across the
listen to, isn't it?
But on my character, which again, he couldn't illustrate one thing that I say that I don't believe. I came out, I woke up very early to the excesses of the left, what we now know as wokeness. I came out.
That was 6 to 8 years ago, though. The Democrats have changed a lot since then. You know that we were alive then, right? Like, the average age of this stream is more than 9. You know that back then, Bernie Sanders was never considered the conservative pick. He was the far left pick for the Democrats always, right? You know that we remember this, right?
Against identity politics, and I wanted to return America to what it was founded on, which was individual liberty and judging everyone by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. The progressive movement is wildly attached to something that brings everyone back to ancient hatred. So when you leave the left, as both of the ladies just pointed out, you will get unending hatred, usually having nothing to do with what you believe or you say.
Leave the left, you'll get unending hatred. Bro, this lady down here left the left when she was like 19. Bro, this lady down here left the left because she's 180 completely on her position. She's on Fox News shitting on fucking Democrats now after a few years ago being a Bernie Sanders sycophant. And then now she's like, oh, I was a conservative Democrat the whole time.
And again, I would just have anyone rewind the video and listen to the nonsense that Cenk said about me to prove that it still exists.
Well, Cenk, I mean, you did launch a very aggressive ad hominem attack on Dave Rubin off the top, which was your decision to do that. But in relation to his specific question, Cenk, can you say one thing that Dave Rubin believes in today that you don't think he believes?
Well, he listed the firefighter grift thing, right? The gay firefighter thing.
Donald Trump has YMCA. Isn't there a firefighter?
Well, before
cop in an Indian, I'm not sure.
Hold on. Look, there's a couple of super important things to say here. First of all, in answering your question, look, Dave doesn't believe in any of the positions he believed in. Before he thought he believed in affirmative action.
Name one. Okay, he said affirmative action.
Okay, affirmative action. And now he says it's the worst thing in the world.
Affirmative action. I evolved. I used to believe in identity politics.
So you did change. But then just say that. Just say that you changed. I've changed political positions. Just say that. Why would you go? Look at how the goalpost has moved so quickly. Wait, what did Ruben say before? I haven't changed a single position. Name one. And now that he can name several, he's like, well, I've changed. Then just say that.
He doesn't believe in any of the positions.
This is why I would never challenge him. Like, name one thing I've changed. I was like, what do you think I'm being contrarian? Or what do you think I can't justify? Like, yeah, my political opinions have changed. Of course they have over time. I would hope people's have. But like, hopefully in response to like gathering more information or having a perspective shift or something. But why would you say they've never changed?
Since he believed in. Before he thought
name
he believed
one,
in affirmative action.
Name one.
This. Okay, affirmative action. And now he says it's the worst thing in the world.
Affirmative action. I evolved. I used to believe in identity politics.
Okay, so you changed.
Like
you asked me to say.
Yes,
why can't
you
you
asked me to name something you changed on? I named it.
You're telling me I don't believe what I'm saying right now. You're calling me a sellout.
Did you believe the Russian propaganda you were paid for?
Oh, you are.
Did you believe the Russian propaganda you were paid for?
I was not paid, Cenk. I was not paid for it.
You were paid. You paid a lot of money, over $4 million, I think.
$1,000 a video.
Oh my God, you clown!
Don't use the 100K. Use the 4 million. You clown. You dirtbag, disgusting, subhuman piece of rat shit. How will you call this guy a clown when you literally got $4 million of dirty fucking Kremlin money? That, like, how could you ever possibly call somebody a clown? This has to be like the least serious person that could, of all the fucking retards on this panel. And that's saying a lot, okay? Because Dave Smith here is heavily retarded, okay? So we got a lot of competition here. Fierce competition, all right? But even Dave Rubin buries him. Although, I don't know, would Dave Rubin take fucking Russian money at this point? Who the fuck knows?
Do you believe the Russian propaganda you were paid for?
I was not paid, Cenk. I was not paid for
$100,000 a video.
Oh my God, you clown! I would recommend anyone look into that to find out a bit more on that.
Why not just say something about it? It's your show. You're here. Don't worry. Well, hold on. Actually, this is kind of awkward. Piers, can we just like move on away from that, please? I don't want to have to like talk about Dave Rubin's background and the fact that he's an American citizen that works in media that took over $4 million from a country that we're like almost in a fucking war with. Like, I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on to something more important. Are there any trans athletes we can talk about right now?
Cenk, how much when you took $1 million from Jeffrey Katzenberg? What did that do for you?
Jeffrey who? WH Omega lol?
Did I change my positions at all? Not 1%. Not 1%. Okay, can I just address the point of problem here?
What position do you think I hold that I cannot explain my beliefs on?
Jeffrey Katzenberg is in favor.
Okay, now we've qualified about what haven't I changed that I can't explain my beliefs on? Okay.
Jeffrey Katzenberg is a good guy, but he's in favor of Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris. I was against all three. What part of that is unclear? So look, Piers, there's three different...
Okay, hang on.
Cenk,
here's my point. The point Dave Rubin is making is, why shouldn't he be allowed to go on an evolution of his views? And why does that mean that right now you can say to him, as you did, you don't believe anything you're saying or believe now, when actually it's completely possible that he 100% believes everything he now says because he's changed his mind. Why can't he do that? And why don't you believe it?
I think that the left is scarred by people like Dave Rubin, who had a complete change. For example, Tulsi Gabbard goes from total progressive to total right-winger. On the other hand, RFK Jr. didn't go to a total right-winger. He still believes the things that he believes about the environment, about housing, about corruption, etc. So you have to be...
Why do we keep playing this game of like right-wing versus left-wing? Like, your definition of right-wing, who fits that anymore? Nobody is right-wing in the way that you're saying it in this country anymore. Why do you keep using these terms? There are no more neoconservatives. They're all gone. Why do you keep saying like, oh, they're not right-wing anymore? Bro, he voted for the right-wing candidate. That's about as right-wing as it gets. When you support the right party and all the candidates in that party, that's about as right-wing as you can possibly be. It doesn't get any more right than voting for all the people over there and then being part of the right-wing administration. That is right-wing. Like, what are you talking about?
Be able to distinguish between the people who...
Is it possible for liberals to build out a media ecosystem without populist messaging? The UHC shooting response has black-pilled me, and I think FDR-style honing of the populist rhetoric is the only way forward. Maybe, my dude.
Who are doing it professionally as, I hate the word grift, but whatever it is that you want to call it, and the people who have genuine disagreements and genuine nuance in their opinions. So, for example, guys, there's three different branches of each party. There is the radical right, radical left, there's the populist left and populist right, and then there's the establishment of both parties. I despise the establishment with every fiber of my being.
We know.
And I've been doing that same exact program for over 22 years, longest running show in internet history, and we've never wavered on that. But now the radical left, unfortunately, is doing what you're worried about, Piers, that the minute that they see anything where you say, I agree with the right, when they agree with us on something like anti-war, they go, oh my God, hold on, let me finish the thought. Let me finish the thought. And what people then say is, oh no, he's going to pull a Dave Rubin because these guys get paid to go fully right wing and then they'll throw their own people under the bus. So they'll pick a gay guy like Dave to throw gay people under the bus. If you see me going after Muslims, if you see me going after people that I've always supported, then you have an issue. But part of the, and this is not a pivot, guys. We've been fighting the radical left for 2 straight years now because they say absurd things like, hey, if the right wing agrees with us, we shouldn't do it anyway. We had somebody leave the network because they said everyone on the right wing is racist. If you agree with the right wing in anything, even if it's things that we agree on, that makes you racist and it hurts black bodies.
All right.
See, that's absurd. Yeah. That's insane.
Of course it is. I mean, the irony is that you and Dave Rubin probably agree with a lot more than you're prepared to ever admit. You just don't think his views are sincere because he's changed his mind on a number of positions. By the way, I used to think I was liberal. I have nothing in common with modern woke liberals. Zero. Let me bring Dave Smith back in. Dave, look, this is part of the problem, it seems to me, is that actually, if people stopped the ad hominem stuff, they could find a lot of common ground where I think there.
What is the common ground that like the right is supposed to find with the like left? When have they ever found common ground with the left? And they're gonna say, well, when Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, like,
there's been a very rapid repudiation of a lot of the nuttier progressive left stuff. And you're seeing America actually through Trump, albeit through he has his inflammatory rhetoric, but you're seeing America, I think, coming to a far more centrist place, actually, which is why he's managed to attract people from all different walks of life. I think that's what's going on. And you're seeing the people on the extremities beginning to look more and more irrelevant.
You know, a lot of times it's about how we use these words and what they actually mean. I'm not sure that centrist is the right word, but I do think, to your point, you know, if you have people who call themselves liberals and they are blatantly opposed to free speech, which there are quite a lot of, you know, this has been very normalized over the last 10 years, really over the last 8 years.
The easiest way to tell if somebody has no fucking idea what the country means, what freedom means, what anything having to do with the United States of America is, and they get all their politics from like fucking Reddit, is when they obsess over this retarded fucking concept of free speech. That's not even why our country was so great and amazing in the founding of our country. It's important, but it's not like the foundational fucking thing that all of the United States of America is like founded on, especially not in the way that he envisions it, of like freedom of speech is when I can go on fucking Twitter and say any fucking thing that I want as much as I fucking want. Like, holy, it is the like most childish, like retarded fucking imagination of like America's fucking great because we have fucking freedom of fucking speech. Like,
I don't mean to drive this into semantics, but what you're describing is not liberalism. I mean, this is just, and in a similar sense, like people who are, you know, anti-war or pro-free speech, the idea that that's considered like a right-wing position is just nutty. I mean, I think anybody who, it's like at this point, then these words don't mean anything. I think that in many ways, whether you call something centrist or radical depends on the current environment, right? So like if you were in the middle of Adolf Hitler's rise in Nazi Germany, being, you know, it would be a pretty radical position to believe in like Jewish rights. That today in America is a very normal centrist position that almost everyone agrees with. So what Donald Trump, again, I think the more correct framing here is the establishment versus the dissidents. And if you think about, everybody loves to brag about a convert. So when Dave Rubin goes from being kind of a progressive to being more of a classical liberal, everybody who's in that classical liberal camp loves that because they're like, look, see, this guy woke up and saw the light and he wants to be with us. And then the tendency of people who are in his old camp is to say, oh, no, he's sold out. But I'm not reading anybody's mind. I don't know. I treat everyone, I take them at their word. The point is that look, Kamala Harris was bragging about the Republicans that she had supporting her, right?
Oh, let's bring up Cheney. Remember Cheney? Hold on. Do you remember Iraq and Cheney? You want to talk about Kamala Harris? Hold on. Let's pause on the girl dick for a second. Do you remember Cheney, though? Do you remember Cheney in Iraq? Remember Cheney? How could Kamala Harris brag about having support from Cheney, neocon, Cheney, Iraq war? How could you brag about Cheney, weapons of mass destruction, Cheney, Iraq war, Cheney, Iraq war, Cheney? You remember when Kamala Harris talked about Cheney? Wow. Like, it's like a broken record. Bro, I thought I repeated myself on shows a lot. Holy fuck.
But who were the Republicans that were supporting Kamala Harris? It was Dick Cheney and his daughter. And you know what I'm saying? Like all the establishment Republicans are the ones who joined him. Who did Donald Trump get? Well, they were all of the dissidents. And
yeah, like the Tulsi Gabbards and the RFKs are strong, brave Americans that really contribute so much.
You know, Tulsi Gabbard, again, Jake, I get your point. I mean, she has changed on several of her views, but might that have something to do with the fact that when she stood up and criticized the war in Iraq, the blood-soaked monster who sent her there called her a traitor to her country for that? And so when you have that type of dynamic,
you know that like nobody in the Democratic Party supports the Iraq war. That's not like a uniquely Trump position, right? You know that like basically everybody in the U.S. fucking hates the Iraq war now. That's not like a thing where it's like, oh my God, we needed Donald Trump to show us how bad the Iraq war was, because everybody's loved the Iraq war until Trump showed us the light. Like,
and you get viciously smeared in that way. What tends to happen is people go to a different group and they start listening to that other group. And maybe they get compelled by some of the arguments. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you that it's also true that you always have to guard against audience capture and perverse incentives and things like that. We all have to fight that force all the time. But it's also true that, you know, I remember there's some stand-up comedian after Louis C.K. got in trouble, and when he started coming back, they started insulting the people who were buying tickets to see him. And then they started saying that Louis C.K. only plays for right-wing audiences now. But their definition of right-wing was anyone who wants to buy a ticket to go see him still. So it's just like, what happens is that if one...
What? I mean, like, it's... You know what this is? You know what this is? It's the chart. Imagine coming from the past. You're like from World War I, World War II, and you're coming to the United States. You're like, okay, it's 2024. I mean, we just finished World War II. Are you guys on like, are you in World War IX? Are you in World War X? Like, did the country survive? Like, tell me some of your big issues in the United States right now. I was like, you don't even understand. You guys had it good. It used to be, the country, this world used to be so good. Okay? Man, let me tell you what's going on in the U.S. So we have in college sports, okay? Now, there was a trans swimmer. Trans is like a man who thinks they're woman, like it's ruining everything. We've got like affirmative action. Like some people we think, although we can't prove it anywhere, are like getting hired to be pilots who are like the wrong race. A comedian guy who's jerking off in doorways. People are making fun of his audience, saying that they're going to be right wing. It's a brutal world out here. Like I can't convey to you how like absolutely fucked this country is right now. Like we're in a total state of disarray because of how dire the situation has become. Like
one group is insulting the people who were buying tickets to see him. And then they started saying that Louis C.K. only plays for right-wing audiences now. But their definition of right-wing was anyone who wants to buy a ticket to go see him still. So it's just like what happens is that if one group is saying, you're a monster, we hate you, you're a traitor to our country, you should be punished forever. And
you mean like how Republicans called Obama and all the Democrats socialists for like 1,000 years?
The other group is saying, hey, we like your point on that. People tend to go toward the path of less resistance and find a new home.
Yeah.
But I would also say there's something deeper there, which is that people on the right are much more willing to agree to disagree. So you can talk to people. RFK, he was running as a Democrat, and what happened? He got virtually nothing but hate from the lefties. By the way, for the record, I debated because RFK was for affirmative action when he was running for president. I'm not. We debated it on my show, so I can clearly lay out my beliefs on that.